One way that we use ratios is that we convert units. So we're going to talk about unit conversions. Okay, and converting units is like when you want to convert something from like feet to yards or miles to inches or pints to quarts or um, how many, if you want to know how many minutes are in a day, those questions can all be answered using unit conversions. So you should have copied down some uh, specific unit conversions that you're going to need into your notes already before you watch this video. If you haven't done so, I would go back and do that. Okay, there are a lot of unit conversions, but those are some of the most common ones that we're going to use for this unit. Um, you use unit conversions. One of the most specific examples I can think of is when you use them, that this process will be helpful, is when you are in a chemistry class or some science classes, especially when you're in high school. Okay, I remember using unit conversions when I was in high school, and I remember not following the process that my teacher said, and then I struggled until I was able to show my work. And once I figured out how to show my work, then unit conversions were easy. So I'm going to show you how to do it the way that will most benefit you. So when you do a unit conversion, you're going to get a problem that looks like this. It's going to ask for you to convert something like 3 yards to inches. Convert 3 yards to inches. Okay, so what you do is you take what's given right away. So 3 yards is what's given. You write a time sign and a line. And one thing we have to think about, and we've talked about already, is that we can cross-cancel labels. Okay? Cross-canceling labels is an important thing in this because we want to get to inches and we don't want any other labels left. So if we're going to cross-cancel labels, our next label down here needs to be yards, because we know that in order to cross-cancel that, they need to be diagonal. So we're going to write yards, and we want to get to inches. Okay, so on your conversion sheet that you wrote the conversions down, you might have something that goes from yards to or you don't have anything that goes from yards to inches. So we have to have a conversion in between that. So we know, according to that sheet, that there are 3 feet in 1 yard, and that gets us closer to inches. So these labels cancel. We can go times. Since we're not to inches yet, we keep going. We know that feet has to go down here because we need it to cross cancel. So we can automatically put that. Times, line, put the label. Okay? On that conversion sheet, it tells us that there's 12 inches in 1 foot. You might already know that. That'd be great. 1 foot, these cancel, feet. And we're to inches, so now we know that our conversion is set up correctly. Okay, so all we have to do is multiply across on the top and the bottom. So 3 times 3 is 9 times 12. If you don't know that, you can use a calculator. So 3 times 3 is 9 times 12 is 108. So we're going to write 108. And 1 times 1 is 1. 108, obviously over 1 is 108. So I'm going to write 108, and my label is inches. So how many feet, or convert 3 yards to inches? There's 108 inches in 3 yards. So it's important that we are able to cross cancel the labels until we get to the one that we want, and then we write an equal sign and we multiply it on the top and the bottom. Okay? If we were to get a number other than 1 here, we would divide this, and that would be our answer. Okay, let's try another one. feet. Let's convert. Convert 12 feet to millimeters. 12 feet to millimeters. Okay, so one of the most important conversions that we need to talk about is when you go from the standard unit of measure to the metric system. So the standard unit of measure would be like feet, inches, miles. It's the measurements that we use in the United States, okay? Pretty much everywhere else in the world, they use something called the metric system. Okay, and there's one specific conversion on your sheet that gets us from the from the standard unit of measure to the metric system, and vice versa. It'll get you from the metric system to the standard unit of measure. Okay, so we still do it the same way though, and we'll talk about what that conversion is when we get there. So we have 12 feet. Okay, 12 feet. We write times, line, and we know that feet, something with feet has to go down there. Okay, I'm actually going to give myself a little bit more room here. So we have 12 feet times line, feet has to go down there. I'm going to abbreviate feet. Okay, so we need to get closer to millimeters, which is on the metric side. So I know I'm going to have to get to a conversion that has inches and centimeters in it. So I'm going to try to get this towards inches. Well, there's 12 inches in 1 foot. I'm not to millimeters yet, so I'm going to go times. Okay, inches has to go down here. Now, the conversion that gets us between the metric system and the standard unit of measure, the customary system is actually what it's called, is 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. Okay, we're not quite to millimeters yet, so we're gonna keep going. Times, another line. It tells us on our sheet that there are 10 centimeters in 1 millimeter, or excuse me, sorry, I have that backwards. 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. Centimeters are able to cross cancel, okay? But we're to millimeters, so we can stop, put our equal sign, stop, put our equal sign, and go through and cross cancel our labels. So centimeters cross cancels, inches cross cancels, feet cross cancels. If that isn't the case, then you need to start over and you need to do it again, because all of your labels except the one that you want should be cross canceled. Okay? So millimeters is left, so we're going to multiply across. This is important. There's a lot of numbers, so this is when it's important to have a calculator. So we have 12 times 12 times 2.54 times 10 equals, and I'm going to just do it again to make sure I get the same answer. 12 times 12 times 2.54 times 10. So I got 3,000. Oops. I got 3,657.6, and then 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So our answer would be 3,657.6 millimeters, because this divided by that is just the top. Okay, so 3,657.6 millimeters is our answer. Okay, so this is when you go between the customary system and the metric system. So this conversion right here, 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch, is very important. Anytime you see a conversion that goes between the two systems, you know you're going to have to use this. Okay? All right, let's try one more. Okay, instead of dealing with centimeters and meters, we're going to try one with a different unit or measure. And that would be time. So we're going to say that we're going to convert 2 days to minutes. 2 days to minutes. So what do we start with? We start with what's given. We write 2 days times line. Days has to be in the bottom. In 1 day, there are 24 hours. Okay, I don't know how many minutes are in a day, so I have to use this conversion. Okay, I'm not quite to minutes yet. In 1 hour, there are 60 minutes. Now I'm to minutes. I can stop, and I can put an equal sign, and then I can multiply. 2 times, excuse me, the bottom would be 1 times 1, so I'm going to get 1. The numerator is 2 times 24 times 60, which is 2,880. 2,880. So how many minutes are in 2 days? There's 2,880 minutes. I know I set this up correctly because hours can't cross cancels and days cross cancels. Okay? So that is unit conversions. There are multiple unit conversions that we can do. The important thing is to remember that when you get to an important thing to remember is that when you get to the end and you have this, if this number isn't a 1, you're going to have to divide it, and then that will give you your answer. Okay? If I was you and you didn't quite understand this, I would rewatch the video. Otherwise, please ask questions. Make sure these are in your notes, and make sure the unit conversions that that you were supposed to write in your notes are in your notes, because you're going to be able to use those on the tests and games and scrimmages. So just make sure that you have all that in your notes so you can refer back to that, okay? Because that'll be important for you to get these correct. If you have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, this should be a good way for you to do unit conversions. Just make sure that your labels are cross-canceling.